Hello. When I was watching Petr Yan's bout versus Uriah Faber, the people I was watching with thought Uriah Faber would win, and my response was instantly 0% chance. Not even a puncher's chance. They were fans of Uriah Faber and have met him in person. He is a very cool individual, a legend of the sport who's made it to the modern era wing of the UFC's Hall of Fame. Justified and well earned. Unfortunately for him though, Petr Yan is one of those new era fighters who can literally do everything. On top of that, he can execute those skills like he's in the Matrix. If you were to think of what Khabib Nurmagomedov is to Sanda in mixed martial arts, yes, Petr Yan is that insane in his boxing prowess. If you've seen his previous bouts, there's no way, after seeing his bout versus a talented prospect, Jimmy Rivera, just watching how he has methodically pieced his opposition in general, his grasp of the fundamentals paired with the speed of decision making is all just insane. His initial base was ITF Taekwondo, the old school one engineered for effectiveness. From there, he went on to train boxing for 8 years, achieving the rank of Master of Sport. When you see him slip into the pocket by a hair, when you see the speed at which he forms combinations, the speed of his decision-making process paired with his vast yet polished toolkit, when we take a closer glance, we understand we are witnessing something special, but his default or go-to technique is pretty simple. We very often see him using just a high guard. Simple, effective, he's not afraid of getting hit. Anywhere you do land, sure, it may do some damage, but at the same time, much of that damage will be mitigated. But that is often not the goal at all. With his reaction time, he's able to quickly move into a counter, avoid a strike altogether. Naturally, this does make him the aggressor, even though he does also play his game comfortably off the back foot. The methodical pressure, inching in with his lead probing, or with a high guard, just inching in. Due to the constant threat of running into an exchange or counter, the opponent has a tendency of backing away. With it, this allows Petr Yan to collect information, to build his feel, to read your behaviors, then time against the tendencies and openings you show throughout the course of the bout. Naturally, this does take time, but once he gets that feel, you can sense the pressure he's built paired with his recon. It can inch his opponent into a crushing defeat at any time. That's what we saw happen to Uriah Faber. Uriah was looking very good early on, but he was being forced to consistently back away. His shots weren't having much effect versus Yan's defenses. The two were touching each other, sure, but Yan was dealing more damage, and with the final blow, it was the same kick Yair Rodriguez used to set up his finishing strike versus BJ Penn. Both having ITF under their belt. It's a front snap kick that struck not with the balls of the foot like Anderson Silva's did versus Vitor Belfort, but with the instep, completely catching Uriah Faber off guard. From here, the bout just ends. As you can tell, Yan's style might seem very foundational, very simple, but his arsenal is actually very massive. It's almost deceptive that he comes in with such a strong boxing base, as there is so much more to his toolkit. He even looks to grapple when he feels he needs to apply other forms of pressure. And his most dangerous tool is perhaps his left hand. He can always readily adjust his angle by swapping to southpaw, and he doesn't seem to lose any proficiency doing so, being able to always fire that concussive left when he needs to. It's interesting, he can also throw it from his lead both offensively or defensively. Overall, his kit is just very awkward when you take a closer glance. It looks very clinical at first, but he does a lot of things off textbook as well, like consistently reaching for his punches or shifting forward over his hips into a left straight from southpaw, which dropped Jimmy Rivera. Eventually, you start to realize that again, he's just one of those fighters who's very difficult to prepare for. Despite being dangerous with his left hand, he doesn't lose anything in his right straight either, which throws into question whether or not he's actually left-handed, standing with a fencing stance. With that said, I keep an eye out for this guy. Why? Because, like many top fighters in the UFC, he has that edge. A high fight IQ paired with a vast and at times even awkward arsenal that's just very difficult to prepare for. Beyond that, he's just always very mentally composed. He has that Russian calm we saw with the great Fedor Emelianenko. With that said, how do you feel Petr will progress against the upper echelon of the UFC? With currently an undefeated streak in the UFC, do you believe there's anyone who can stop him? Maybe the king of cringe, Henry Cejudo. Your thoughts and insight are always appreciated. To that end, thank you Petr Yan for this lesson. If you'd like to help me reach my goal of 1 million subs, please subscribe and hit the notifications, or let someone you know in on Mind Smash. Thank you if you did. It truly does mean a lot to me. Thank you. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. It's good karma, and until next time, peace.